Hello and welcome to the channel. This is Sam trying to spin to win on Zwift. Well, not sure about the rest of you, but my legs still feel broken after the recent FRR tour. It's gonna take me a few more days to get over this one, I think, but hopefully it'll be good training. In today's video, as promised, I wanted to give you my thoughts and views on Tour Britannia as a whole. First, I'll cover how I did personally and whether I achieved the goals that I set out for myself before the tour started. And then I wanted to give you my views or my takes, if you will, on the overall tour. What worked well and what are some of the things I think that can be improved for next time. Now, I'm sure some of you are going to disagree with some of my takes here, and that's absolutely fine. Each to their own. But I did want to provide some, hopefully, useful, constructive criticism to the community on this. But before we get into that, first, a huge thanks to Rich and the team at FRR for putting on a fantastic event. Really enjoyed it overall. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think the FRR tours are the best events by far on Zwift.
So, how did the tour go for me in the end? Well, I'd like to take you back to the goals that I set for myself at the start. As a quick reminder, they were, in order of importance, have fun, survive all 10 stages, finish in top half of CRP leaderboard, and, if possible, finish in the top 20 of the CRP leaderboard. Now, let's go through each one of those. Did I have fun?
Hell yeah.
Don't get me wrong, at times I question my sanity, but for most of the tour I really enjoyed it. The competition was really good, the parkour was fantastic, and the community feel, as always, was great. So I can say I certainly achieved this goal. For the next one, did I survive? Well, I guess I'm still here making this video, so yes, I made it.
By the skin of my teeth.
In the end, I did finish all 10 stages, but that was seriously in doubt after the first few stages when I didn't perform at all well, and I was really wondering what was wrong with me. But I'm happy I stuck with it as I slowly got better as the tour went on. I didn't get to my best ever form, but towards the end I was at least producing decent numbers for me. So yes, I survived, and hopefully I'll be stronger for it. What about those lofty leaderboard goals then? Well, let's review the CRP division, shall we? So here are the final top 10 in the CRP leaderboard after all 10 stages have been completed. Given all the stages were tough and varied, I don't think the E-gap is that large here, only some 4 minutes between 1st and 10th place. So massive kudos to you all, super strong riders, one and all. But first place, as I predicted, goes to Simon Gaunt with a 0 E-gap. Chapeau. Stefan Tengman, who I think finished the tour very strongly, is in 2nd place, and Steve Himmelman is in 3rd. And a shout out to Alan in 5th, who thought I could follow him on one of the stages when he attacked. Alan, your confidence was sorely misplaced, I'm afraid. Okay, for me, scrolling, and I finished in 47th place out of the 70 riders that completed all 10 stages. In the end, I was almost 27 minutes behind the winner, so a bit sobering, but it is what it is. So clearly, I didn't finish in the top half of the leaderboard, and certainly not in the top 20.
You are soft, weak!
But you know what? That doesn't matter at the end of the day. I tried my best on each stage, and that is all I can ask of myself. In the end, I just got beaten by a lot better riders. So again, my hat is off to all of them. I will use this as motivation to come back stronger for the next FRR tour, and hopefully I can achieve those leaderboard goals in that one.
You can try.
But enough about me and how I did on this tour. What did I think about the overall tour, if you will, as an experience this time around? What was good? What was bad? And what do I think can be improved for next time? Now, as mentioned before, please keep in mind that these are subjective views, my views, if you will, and they're shaped by my experience from this tour as well as some prior FRR tours. Some of you will agree with me, many of you may disagree with my takes here. That's absolutely fine. Like I said, each to their own, but I did want to share my views on the subject. I'd love to hear your comments too, so leave them in the comment section to the video below, and maybe we can get a conversation started about this.
Okay, let's start with the positives, and there were many. First, I thought that the parkour was really good this tour. It was a good mix of shorter and punchy courses, all the way to the Queen stage with its long and arduous climbs. And even though I am no ITT lover, far from it, I thought that the courses that FRR Race Control picked for those stages were also really good. I like that you have to mix up your efforts during these rides as it makes it more interesting. A contrast to that would be the ITT partway up Mont Ventoux in Tour France, which I didn't enjoy at all. That was an example of a boring ITT route, at least for me.
Boring!
So, in summary, thumbs up from me on the parkour this tour. Excellent job. I also thought the use of 2 categories in each start pen compared to 4 was great. While there were still large E-gaps generated, given differing abilities of riders, even within the same category, I felt this was less pronounced in Tour Britannia compared to Tour France. And as long as there are enough riders signing up to do FRR tours, I think FRR Race Control should keep this setup. Of course, the ideal would be to have 1 start pen for each category. But we need more riders for that to ensure we don't have a sparsely populated start pen, in particular at certain points during the day. But all in all, another big thumbs up from me on this one. The use of 30-day max VELO score instead of the current VELO score was also a big positive for me. I discussed this in detail in the preview vlog I posted on YouTube, but in summary, it makes it harder for riders to manipulate the VELO score in order to potentially try to start in a lower category. I think this is a great change and should definitely stay going forward. Thumbs up again from me. Closely linked to the last point is the 50-point buffer in your VELO score before you move up or down to a different category. There clearly needs to be some flex here, and I think 50 points is about right. If you keep winning races or placing very high consistently, chances are you will move up. But if you have 1 or 2 really good results, punching above your weight perhaps, then you will stay in the category even if your VELO score is just over the limit. This is a good addition to the VELO score rules for FRR. Thumbs up from me. And a final positive for me was the level of competition. I have only done 2 FRR tours before, but man, in this one there were some super talented riders in my category.
I tried to fight them, but they were too strong.
And I think that's likely true for the other categories also. I like competing against tougher competition, and I certainly filled my boots in that regard in this tour. So, even though I personally took a beating by a lot of riders,
You sure did!
I do like the level of competition. Thumbs up from me. Now, onto one change which I'm somewhat indifferent about, and that is the virtual Broom Wagon. I think this is a good idea in principle, but I'm unsure how much effect this actually had during this tour. Since I wasn't going for any of the points jerseys, I can't really comment, but I do know there were a lot of heated discussions on this. So while I think the Broom Wagon is here to stay, I'm sure FRR Race Control will listen to feedback and adjust accordingly going forward. Okay, on to the negatives. Or perhaps better phrased, aspects to look at for the next tour. And there was really only one for me, but it's a biggie, and that is rider classification. I will be the first to acknowledge that this is a very, very difficult problem to solve. No matter what you do, somebody will be unhappy. But I do feel this didn't work out as well in this tour as I would have liked. If you watched the preview video, you know I am a big fan of using the VELO scoring system. And as just mentioned among the positives, using the 30-day max score is a great idea. However, I was completely unaware it'd been decided for this tour that your VELO score would not change based on your placing in a race. Rather, your VELO score would only change if you had a big change in your composite score, or in other words, if you set a new 5-minute power record. I don't think this was mentioned anywhere, or if it was, I certainly missed it, and my apologies for doing so. When I first read about this, I was sure I got this wrong. But no, it was confirmed, and this generated a huge amount of discussions on various forums. The effect of this is that riders, unless they do a large increase in their composite score, and it would have to be significant, keep in mind, in order to go above the 50-point buffer we discussed earlier, they would not change category.
I am not moving.
And honestly, how often do we do a 5-minute power PB? Sure, it happens, but given it's a PB, it doesn't happen all that often.
Not for you, it doesn't.
So even if a rider kept winning race after race after race and crushing the competition, they would stay in the same category as long as they didn't increase their composite score. Whereas if their position in a race counted as well towards VELO, they would have moved up for sure. At least one category, if not more. I certainly saw this in my category, CRP, and let me give you one example. Please note, I am not trying to call out an individual here, far from it. The issue is not the fault of the riders. They just show up and race in the category that they've been assigned to, and I have no issues with that whatsoever. But the winner of the CRP category is a good case in point. First, he's classified as an A+ rider. Now, I know we're not using that system anymore, but it still gives you an indication of what level of rider he is. Second, he had a max 30-day VELO score of 1892 at the very upper end of the CRP limit when he joined the tour. Now, if we look at his results during the tour, they are absolutely fantastic. Never off the podium in all 10 races, in fact. Now, if I could string together a list of results like that,
You wish.
I would then just call it quits and pick up another hobby. I guess I'll be swifting until I'm 6 feet under then. Oh well. But given these fantastic results, if we look at his VELO score, we can see that he hardly moved. Well, in fact, it did move when he must have increased his composite score by a little bit, since he moved up 10 points. But since he didn't go above the 50-point buffer, he stayed in CRP. Now, these were the rules for this tour, and it is what it is. But looking at this, I'm convinced that he should have been moved up to a higher category if the placing aspect of the VELO system was used. This was just one example, but I've glanced at the leaderboards for the other categories, and the same seems to be true there. My guess, and this is a guess, but I would not be surprised if the top 10 in each category, if not more, would have moved up at least one category, or more, if the full VELO system would have been used. I know FRO Race Control did manually fix some of the biggest issues here, but I think this does need to be looked at for future tours. Again, there is no easy answer here. No matter what FRO Race Control does, some people will not like it. But the bottom line is, for me at least, that if a rider is too strong for a category, he or she needs to move up and not get stuck in the wrong category.
Oh, but I like it here.
Which I think happened in this tour.
Okay, those are my thoughts on the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you will, from Tour Britannia. And even though we discussed the ugly bits, if you will, or things that can be improved for next time, let's not end the video on a downer. Tour Britannia was a fantastic event. I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. I thought the parkour that Rich chose was fantastic, really varied. I thought the competition was excellent. Too tough for me as it turned out, but I like competing against better riders. That's the only way I think I get better. So chapeau to all of them. And most of the changes that were brought in from Tour de France worked out well. There are some things that can be improved on, but overall, what a fantastic experience. So again, a huge thanks to Rich and the team at FRR for hosting such a great event. Chapeau to you guys. I don't know how you fit all of that in to your otherwise busy schedules. Okay, let's end the video. Unless IRL comes in the way, I certainly hope to be on the start line with you for the next tour, which I think begins in early January. This is Sam, trying to spin to win on Swift, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.